Everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday, March 11, 2025 Florida County Commission meeting. It is now approximately 1:30. I would ask that you all find your seats. Please silence your cell phones, any other electronic devices that you may have with you. We sincerely appreciate it. We're going to start out today with the invocation by Pastor Robert Bradley, Bread of Life Christian Church, and then the pledge by Commissioner Lockhart. Please stand.
Let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, we thank you for this day that you've given unto us by your grace and your mercy. We thank you, God, for life's precious gifts. We thank you, Father, for the strength you've given unto us to be able to gather here today, Lord God, as our commissioners put their hearts and minds together for the betterment of this county. We thank you, God, for the swift intelligence and movement of law enforcement that foiled what could have been a catastrophic event at Seminole High School. We thank you, Father, that no lives were lost during the weather event on yesterday. God, we just want to thank you, God, for just being a good God to us. And Father, everything that we do from this moment forward, the hearts and the minds of our commission be focused on doing what betters the citizens of this county. And let all be done for your glory and for our betterment. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Mr. Bradford. We appreciate you being here, Mr. Bradley, today to lead us in the invocation. Before we get started today, I've asked our Emergency Operations Center Director, Mr. Alan Harris, to give us an update on yesterday's events. I think, speaking for majority of the commission, we are very thankful for our first responders, our men and women and the fire department, as well as our law enforcement, our building officials, our other employees that were deployed for this natural disaster. So we sincerely appreciate all the efforts you made on behalf of the citizens of this county.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Alan Harris, Director of Emergency Management, for the record. We did experience an EF2 tornado yesterday at 9:36 in the morning. Began around Wekiva Springs area and then moved about 4 miles into Longwood, Lake Mary, across Markham Woods Road area, and ended at Lake Emma when it lifted at that point. Want to thank the National Weather Service for their support and their early alerts. A lot of people went into closets in their safe rooms and things like that. We heard that from a lot of individuals, and we're very thankful for those individuals that did that, and that potentially saved quite a few lives, certainly prevented injuries as well. We are certainly blessed that we had no injuries in this event. This could have been a very catastrophic event. We haven't experienced an EF2 tornado. We've had tornadoes. We've had them embedded in hurricanes. We've had individual tornadoes, 2007, 2009. We had tornadoes in Oviedo and Castleberry, but we haven't experienced a tornado like this since 1998. Now, it wasn't, of course, as bad as 1998. That was the worst tornado outbreak in state of Florida history, but certainly one of the worst that we've seen here in Seminole County in history, and in my experience too. We have opened up a tarp location where individuals can get tarps for the roofs. That's in a partnership with St. Stephen's Lutheran Church. We provided tarps to those to that location. The American Red Cross has done case assessments in each of the homes along the path of the tornado. This is a very similar to any type of tornado you've read about, seen on TV, where 2 blocks down the road a mailbox is standing, and right here this home is completely destroyed. And that was very consistent with what we saw yesterday. We have over 9 faith and nonprofit organizations that have offered assistance to individuals that may need assistance, special needs, and they can't get out and fix their yard, clean up their yard. So we want to thank our faith and nonprofit organizations that are always lending hands. We've reached out to all of our special needs clients, all the individuals in healthcare, home health, assisted living facilities, nursing homes, to make sure that all of those that were in the path of the storm, that they are okay. As the chairman mentioned, I want to thank our team of professionals, fire department, the sheriff's office, our public works crews. Our public works crews, along with the fire department, had all of the roads cleared within 1 hour of the event. That is amazing. That is unheard of. We had state representatives that were responded to the EOC, and they were asking what roads need to be cleared, and I said we had already done it. And they were in complete shock, especially after they went out and looked at the disaster. They said, how did you all do that? And I said, we have an incredible crew here that just gets moving, and that's what we do. We are in the streets today. We are picking up debris that were pushed to the side of the road. So all those large trees, and we're talking about large oak trees like this. So those were all pushed to the side to clear fire, EMS, law enforcement getting in and out of the neighborhoods. We're in the neighborhoods right now picking up all of that debris. This is going to take a while. It's going to be a few days before we pick up all that debris. And then we're going to be working through the neighborhoods to pick up all of the rest of the debris. We ask individuals, if you are watching today, individuals that are cleaning up around their yards, things like that, make sure that you look for safety, right? Gloves, closed-toed shoes, things like that, because there's nails, there's wood, there's objects everywhere, and it may be hiding behind something, so be careful when you pick up things to be really cognizant of that. Our solid waste management team has placed 4 dumpsters in the hardest hit neighborhood where people can put that construction debris, and we'll be picking up those on a regular basis, very similar to what we do in the flooded areas after a hurricane. Duke Energy was able to restore all power last night to those homes that can have power restored. So there are, of course, our homes that have damage that do not allow us to restore power, but Duke Energy, working with our building officials and our fire department, did a great job restoring power yesterday, so we're extremely pleased at our partnership with Duke Energy. With that, if there's anyone that has questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Harris. Any questions or comments from the board? Commissioner Herr.
Yeah, so this is my district, and it is absolutely devastating damage that happened. Luckily, it's in a small area. I just want to express my appreciation, first of all, for the neighbors that were all immediately out helping each other, but certainly for our teams, particularly Public Works, Fire, the Sheriff, and all of the utilities that were so quick to jump to be responsive to the needs of our community. I would also say a big point of recognition for this board for buying the equipment that was out there. It's one thing when we see it on an invoice and we question whether or not it's the right use of taxpayer money, which we do every single time we buy anything. It's another thing to see it out there when there are people that can't get in and out of their roads, and it's our team that's out there within an hour clearing the roads with it probably would have been a good idea if I knew what this thing was, but a thing with a big thing on the front.
Front-end loader.
A front-end loader, thank you. It was giant. Beautifully new with a logo on the side of it that said Seminole County, and I've never been happier to see a large piece of equipment in my life, and I am sure those neighbors felt the same way. So to our board, putting our citizens first is wonderful, and I appreciate you for doing that. To our team of professionals that jumped to the mercy of these people, I can't be more appreciative.
Anyone else?
Other than I wanted to personally, I watched, heard, called, and once again, our staff, it's just incredible.
Amen.
And what they've done. So I just wanted to thank all of them. Through you, Alan.
Thanks. That's them.
And our hearts and prayers go out to the residents that were impacted on this, and I know a lot of them are going to struggle as they work through their insurance companies and start to rebuild and put their lives back together. But just know that everybody here at Seminole County is working and doing everything we possibly can to make that as seamless and easy as a process we can from the county side under Alan's leadership and Mr. Darren Gray's leadership with the rest of our staff. So thank you very much. With that, we have our next proclamation, which also is Mr. Harris, which is going to be our State of Florida Animal Control Officer of the Year, Mr. James Pyle. Mr. Harris, you again.
So I'm extremely excited about this. Not so excited about tornadoes, but Animal Control Officer of the Year for the entire state of Florida, James. I could stand up here for 30 minutes and talk about James. I love this guy. I mean, he's the coolest guy. I have a lot of great employees, but James is one that just excels. On his lunch break, you're going to see him playing with dogs. On any special event that we have, he's building the sets. When you go out to Paws and Claws, all of the things that you see around there are his. If they need help in the shelter because we are over capacity, please adopt from us. If we are over, he is always the one that says, I'll help. I'll help on that weekend. I'll help at that time. He is now our Deputy Director for Field Services, so he trains our officers because he's such a good officer. We wanted to emulate that out in the field. And James, he smiled a lot in this video. That's always him too. He's an educator. He helps people. He doesn't enforce. He educates the public, which is a good thing. The animal control officer position is a position that you're always going to have someone mad, right? Either the dog is barking or you just wrote a citation for someone that the dog was barking. Now, hopefully, we can educate the person and have a happy result, but sometimes that doesn't happen and someone is upset. James always does this with a smile, with happiness, with the customer service that only Seminole County, I only see in Seminole County. And I'm just so excited for James. I am also excited to introduce Chris Stronko, our new division manager for animal services, which will also be coming up. But if I can have James come up, James. And I'm going to ask his supervisor, Lauren Watts, field services manager, to come up, Chris Stronko to come up, and this is his award here. I don't know, Chairman, if you wanted
Yep,
to.
let's go down the floor.
And his
Thank
parents.
you very much.
Good work. We also ask his parents to come, so if we can have them come up.
And Alan, why don't you tell them what the award is? I don't think you said what the award
Did
was.
I not say that? Animal Control Officer of the Year for the state of Florida. Thank you.
So we beat all the other counties.
And cities, so there are some cities that have animal control, that's right.
Front and center. Congratulations, sir. Thank you for representing us as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
How's the comments?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Everybody on my count in 3, 2, 1.
Great, good work. Congratulations. Thank you for all your work. All right, next up is going to be our urban bear management update by Mr. Mike Orlando. A little background, in early 2015, due to increased calls for human-bear interactions, Seminole County adopted an ordinance creating the urban bear management area. Mike Orlando, a bear management program coordinator with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, has provided the board with an annual update on ordinance performance. Mike will now provide us the 2024 update. Mike, welcome again.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners. Here we are again, another year. It's been a good time over the years. We've been talking about a lot of bear stuff. This one is actually going to be relatively short. And the reason for that is because you guys are doing an amazing job. This is actually our calls for the Northeast. So that is, it includes like Marion, Lake, and Volusia and Seminole. You could see that last year in 2024, we had 2,600 calls come into the agency. The majority of those calls are in blue there are just general interactions. These are somebody saw a bear crossing the street, or they saw a bear while they were hiking in the forest. And obviously, Seminole County has some of the best bear habitat in the state of Florida, so we're definitely going to have bears now and into the future. The orange part is what we call core complaints, and those core complaints are bear did some actionable thing on FWC, which is bear getting into garbage or a bear getting on a screen enclosure or something along those lines. And our bear management plan directs us to keep those core complaints under 50%, and you can see that thankfully we've been keeping it under 50% for quite some time. The pie chart there, again, shows that most of the calls that we're getting are general interactions, but the second largest reports that we get are bears in garbage. And that leads us to what's happening in Seminole County. And you can see that in garbage, the amount of calls that you've gotten in the last 3 years has been extremely low. If you guys recall, some of you, I know certainly Commissioner Constantine remembers, you guys were the #1 county in the state of Florida for bear conflicts. You would flip back and forth, I think, between Lake and Seminole County, between 1 and 2. And as of right now, unfortunately, Marion County is still the #1 county with 779 calls, but Seminole County is the #8 county with only 308 calls. So you guys were getting 600-700 calls coming from Seminole County 10 years ago. And since we've done all the work, really you guys did the hard lift of getting ordinances in place and getting money for garbage cans and dumpsters. It has obviously paid off. You can see just general interactions down to 127, which is really indicative of once you take care of the garbage, which you guys are doing so amazingly, that all of your conflicts start to go down just because of that, once you start taking care of the garbage. Obviously, some certain things like public safety incident were, definitely lower than we were in 2022, and bears and people, don't get along sometimes. Thankfully, we have not had a serious incident, and we're working, hard to make sure that doesn't happen in Seminole County or anywhere for that matter. But I really just have to congratulate you guys on over the years. I know some of you probably have been keeping track, and it's an amazing thing. And we promote Seminole County every single time we go to a conference. Anywhere in the world, we're constantly saying what amazing job Seminole County has done with the efforts that you guys, and you're really a role model for not only the rest of the counties in the state of Florida, but also in the country. I mean, North Carolina is even talking about you guys quite frequently. So this is just sort of visual representation of where the conflicts are occurring. This is over the last 3 years, so it looks a little busy, but you can see most of the things are happening in the usual places, right up against the Wekiwa, State Forest and all that conservation lands over there. It's where our bears are. Again, some of the best bear habitat in the whole state of Florida. And that is right where the ordinance zone is, and those folks are really doing a pretty good job overall. You guys see that down in Oviedo, since the ordinance was put in place, our calls even in the Oviedo area has dropped. So it seems like the ordinances are working really well, but I think most, the best thing actually is the bear resistant garbage cans and all the efforts that people are taking to keep attractants away from bears. So a quick deviation here. As some of you probably know, in December, staff gave a presentation, a 5-year update to our commissioners. And after that presentation, our commissioners asked us to return to a future commission meeting for options on a regulated bear hunt. So I certainly wanted to address this today with you all, and essentially just tell you that right now we are in the finding phase of information, not only from subject matter experts, but from the general public. So we've had a bear stakeholder group and tag meeting, and on this Thursday at 6 o'clock, we'll be having our virtual public webinar to try to collect information from the public. So it's just a listening session right at the moment. We're not having discussions really about bear hunting at all at this moment. We're just trying to get options together to present to our commission. Some of the things that we're talking about are season timing and length, and methods allowed, harvest limits, locations, all these things. And certainly we do understand that there are a lot of folks who want to check the box of none of the above, to not have a bear hunt at all. We're also documenting that. So everything is sort of up in the air at the moment. But again, our direction is to try to come back to our commissioners with options for reopening a regulated bear hunt. That's it.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Orlando. Any questions or inquiries by the board? Commissioner Herr?
Just to be clear, you're coming back to your commissioners, not these commissioners. about
Yes,
the
I
bear
apologize.
hunt. Just
FWC,
wanted to be
yes.
clear about that.
Yes, I'd
I
hate to
think
put
we
that
would have
pressure on
mixed
you guys.
emotions on this board.
No, yes, our FWC commissioners.
Thank
Yes.
you. I think the work that we've done is amazing. I can see every little thing that we do has an impact, and everything that you do has an impact. I would ask our team to reinvestigate the haulers' schedules with regard to trash. If you go back to your heat map, that heat map, if you look where those red dots are, the haulers have started hauling trash later in the day.
Okay.
And so we are regularly seeing bears up and down the streets, figuring out which cans they can get in. They're adorable, but it's not cool.
Yeah, understood.
And so I think the labor shortage caused scheduling to be changed, and we were good with it as long as trash got picked up, but labor shortage is waning. We need to get back on top of our expectations with regard to our contracts.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea, and if we can help in any way, we can provide, those data to try to
Yep.
determine where things are happening. One quick note, like things like the tornado you guys discussed earlier, and certainly hurricanes, a lot of folks actually take like their freezer, the food is spoiling in the freezer, and they put out by the side of the road. If you could put that in a bear-resistant garbage can, that's the best way to do it. Otherwise, you might need to take it somewhere else, because bears do take advantage of hurricanes and tornadoes and power outages, so.
Commissioner Constantine?
Thank you. I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you to you, Mike, and all your people, because you guys did a great job, and most especially the citizens, because this, we don't require bear can, resistant containers. We have an education process. A lot of them have taken advantage of opportunities that we have given them, and they have taken it on themselves. But the education of our citizens has been, or them taking on and learning and doing the right thing has been phenomenal since, the problems that we had back in the early 2000 teens. I did want to ask you about the illegal activities. That's the only thing that kind of stood out. Is
Right.
that feeding the bears again?
Yes, it could be anything that's illegal. Most of that is going to be, feeding bears or doing something that's against our Florida Administrative Code. So yeah, it's not broken out, but most of that is people feeding.
And because I thought that's what it was, I just wanted to say to all the 5 people that are watching, to get the word out, please don't feed the bears.
Yeah, not
that
only
just
is it a bad
causes
idea, it's against the
problems.
law. So,
Yeah, well, it's against the law, and,
Yeah.
which was, you brought up North Carolina and Tennessee. I was surprised that when the people called us way back when we started this, that they don't have that as a law.
Yeah.
They're allowed to feed bears. Not real smart.
It gets complicated.
Yeah, not
my
real
counterparts up there are struggling a little bit sometimes.
Not real smart. Thank you, Mike.
And feeding a deer is feeding a bear.
I mean,
That's
so.
a whole other phenomena that
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, the Florida Administrative Code is pretty clear that allowing the placement of garbage or an attractant like corn or intentionally placing it to feed a bear that is likely to create or is creating is against the law. So if you have a deer feeder out there that's in a neighborhood or something, it's fine if deer are coming, but if a bear shows up or a bear is likely to show up, yes, you can be in violation of Florida Administrative Code.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want to continue this too long, but I just wanted to ask one other question.
Yeah.
The bears that were removed from Seminole County and moved, I'm sure that you have a tracking device and things like that. Can you give us any update on those?
Which bears? I'm sorry.
You had bears that you were removing from Seminole County, moving back up to the forest.
Yeah.
You have tracking. Could you just give us very briefly?
Yeah, so typically how it works is our relocation sites are sort of distributed throughout the forest. A male bear has a 60 square mile home range, and female bears are around 15 square miles on average. And so even when we take them to the forest, they will likely return, or they'll go, in some other. So really the key is to make sure that any attractant that is bringing bears into the yards or into neighborhoods is eliminated, because not only that bear might come back, but another bear that's in the area will take advantage of that. So when we relocate bears, it's basically some aversive conditioning. We're taking them, trying to get them to understand that people are not nice, stay away from, humans. And, but a lot of them will come back. Thankfully, some of them do have recidivism, where they do start getting into garbage and cans, but some of them don't. So we're trying to, balance that out, where, we're using relocation sparingly, but effectively, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Orlando. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you all again.
You as well.
See you next year.
All right, next up is our consent agenda. If there's anybody here that desires to speak on the consent agenda, please ensure that you grab one of the forms out front in the lobby. Fill that out. It's yellow in color. The clerk is holding it up right now so you know what it looks like. Fill it out saying whether you're speaking on a particular item and whether you're for or against that, and we'll get you called up here. Right now, we'll go to the county attorney, Ms. Kate Latour, for the rules of public speaking.
Florida law provides that members of the public shall be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard on propositions before the Board of County Commissioners, except when the board is acting on emergency or ministerial matters or conducting a meeting exempt from the requirements of the Sunshine Law. Individuals shall be permitted 3 minutes each for public comment, or 6 minutes when the individual is an official representative of a formal group or association. The chairman may modify the maximum time for public comment at his sole discretion when appropriate. Public comments on quasi-judicial or other public hearing items will occur during the board's consideration of those items later this afternoon. Public comments on pending procurement matters or on non-agenda items shall not be permitted at this time. Members of the public desiring to make public comment must fill out a speaker form and present the form to staff. Forms are available in the lobby. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Latour. County Manager, do you have any updates to the agenda in this regard, to the consent agenda?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. No changes, just one I see typo under it says County Manager's consent agenda items. It says 5 on the top, it says 5 through 20. It should be 5 through 19, just to clarify that. So we're all on the same page.
Great. Any particular commissioner care or have a need to pull any of the items on the consent agenda? Seeing none, do we have any public comment on any agenda items?
Yes, sir. There's one speaker, Paul Zimmerman, in opposition to item 18.
Mr. Zimmerman, if you would come forward, please. Mr. Zimmerman, if you would state your name and address to the record, you'll have 3 minutes to tell us what your concerns are with number 18.
Hi,
Ready when you are.
Hello, I'm Paul Zimmerman, PE retired, 2241 Coolbrook Court, Oviedo, 32766. Good afternoon. Some of you may recognize me. That's because I left employment as the chief engineer of the utility department 6 months ago after 7 years with the county. I've seen a lot of changes with the county as employees in critical positions continue to come and go at a staggering pace. Also, I'm speaking to you with 34 years of utility-specific experience, including 27 years in high-level professional engineering managerial positions for municipal utility providers in multiple states. I also obtained my highest certification levels as a water and wastewater treatment operator. However, I'm here today as a concerned citizen of the county asking you to reconsider agenda item 19 and not approve this request. I'd like to point out that one of the graders gave a perfect score. No one gets a perfect, this guy gets a perfect score, even though he's not a PE, has no utility experience on that agenda item. Furthermore, the vendor is supposed to provide non-engineering utility operation management services as an extension of the utility. What in the world's that? As well as provide miscellaneous support. And I just don't see a demonstrated need to spend $400,000 plus $60,000 previously to the same vendor. This is a duplication of services. You've got CPH and Jacobs doing much of the same thing. You've got too many cooks in the kitchen here. Also, in conclusion, I'm asking the BCC to vote no on agenda number 18, to give yourself time to make sure this large expenditure is really needed. Furthermore, I believe that I'm uniquely positioned to give the BCC an unvarnished opinion of the real issues confronting the utility department without fear of reprisal from the county manager's office that active employees would undoubtedly receive. I encourage
Mr.
you.
Zimmerman, we're not going to get into what you perceive, what might be repercussions or any of those kinds of things. You just get to the matter.
I encourage you to reach out for me for one-time meetings to discuss this on an individual basis for anyone who wants. Kick this can down the road for at least another Board of County. I'll be glad to meet with you on my own time and discuss what really is going on. I think you deserve to know. I understand you've made some recent improvements and we're going kind of in the right direction, but there's major cultural deficiencies. You really aren't doing it yourselves and your staff justice. This is really a disgrace of what's going on with the disrespectful management attitude that we've been faced. A lot of us are left. I don't know what there's.
Mr. Zimmerman, I'm going to warn you one more time. We're not talking about disrespect of management. We're talking about this topic only, directly to this topic.
All right, well,
I
that's
encourage
it.
you to wrap things up.
I'm wrapping things up. I encourage you not to do this. It's just a waste of money, again, waste of money. And if you want to just blow money on another consultant doing what other consultants are doing, duplicate those efforts, you go right ahead. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Dominique, any others?
No, sir.
Here to speak on anything?
No, sir.
Seeing none, I will go to board action. Commissioner Herr.
I'd actually like to have the county manager's office address that before we vote on it.
And thank you, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. As you know, when I first came here as the county manager, our utilities were in a little bit of disarray, as you know, not to go into too many details. I pulled out the utilities under environmental services and had it as a standalone department. We had a few compliance issues. We have some wastewater plant issues. And we immediately got in touch with Diskins Consulting and actually helped us. He does have extensive experience in utilities. He ran a utility, a big utility, a city utility, so he has a lot of experience. But he actually came in and looked at all of our compliance issues, which, as you know, we had a few compliance issues when I first came on board. So he works well with our team, works in collaboration with CPH and Jacobs. Mr. Edwards, our utility director now, depends on him a lot for, an outside view of looking to ensure that we're on the right track and moving forward. So I'm recommending that the board move forward with this. This is a part of the team. As you know, we're going through the utility master plan process now. We've had 3 of the 5 presentations to the board that we will be wrapping up this summer, and this consultant is a big piece of that.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. I will move for board direction on items 3 through 19. That's constitutional officers, items 3 and 4, and 5 through 19.
Chairman, I'll recommend we move to approve.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Carries majority. Thank you all very much. Next up is our public hearing agenda, is item 20. This is going to be our public hearing agenda. I want to move to the board for proof of publication.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Carries majority. Any particular commissioner have any ex parte to disclose on any of these items? If so, identify.
Mine has been submitted electronically.
I have none.
I have none.
And I have none as well. All right, we'll go to the county attorney, Ms. Kate Latour. This is our public hearing agenda for quasi judicial. If you would give us the rules for public engagement, please.
While the board welcomes comments from all persons with an interest in these proceedings, Florida law requires the board's decision in quasi-judicial actions be supported by competent substantial evidence presented to the board during the hearings on the applications. Competent substantial evidence is such evidence as a reasonable mind would accept as adequate to support a conclusion. There must be a factual basis in the record to support opinion testimony from both expert and non-expert witnesses. Persons presenting testimony may rely on factual information that they present, information presented by county staff, information the applicant presented, or on factual information included in the county staff report to support their testimony. All persons who present written materials to the board for consideration must ensure that a copy of such materials is provided to the clerk for inclusion in the board's record of the proceedings and official minutes. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. If there's anyone here that's going to speak on any of these items, again, make sure you've got a yellow form which you can procure in the lobby. Fill out the item on the agenda you want to speak about, whether you're in favor or against, and get it to the clerk right here with her hand raised, and we'll make sure you get up and speak. First item up is going to be Encore at Hillview Rezone. This will be put on by Miss Annie Silloway, our senior planner. Our staff will present the project. We will then go to the applicant if they desire to make a presentation. We will then go to public comment. We will then close public comment and go to any rebuttal that the applicant may have or desire. Ms. Silloway?
Good afternoon. Annie Silloway, Senior Planner with Development Services. The applicant is requesting a rezone from A1 Agriculture to R3A Multiple Family Dwelling in order to construct a townhome development with a minimum lot size of 2,200 square feet with a minimum density of 10 dwelling units per net buildable acre for a total of 28 lots. The subject property has an existing A1 agriculture zoning designation and a high-density residential future land use designation, which allows up to a maximum of 20 dwelling units per net buildable acre. However, the requested R3A's multiple family dwelling zoning district limits the density to a maximum of 10 dwelling units per net buildable acre. The developer will be required to build a 5-foot wide sidewalk along Hillview Drive since there are no existing sidewalks. The applicant has provided a development plan showing the layout of buildings, circulation, buffers, and parking for the townhome units. The applicant is proposing a 25-foot wide landscape buffer along the western portion of the subject site that abuts Oakland Hill subdivision, a 10-foot wide landscape buffer on the south along Hillview Drive, and a 12.5 wide landscape buffer along the eastern portion of the site. And the applicant will provide a 25% common usable open space, excluding landscape buffers on the subject site. Per section 30.4.8 of the Seminole County Land Development Code, the R3 and R3A multiple family dwelling district, that the requested R3A zoning classification is composed of low density to medium density residential areas plus open space where it's likely and desirable to extend such type of development. The subject site is situated where it is well serviced by public and commercial services and has convenient access through to thoroughfares and collector roadways. Per policy FLU 5.2.3, the purpose and intent of the high-density residential future land use designation is to provide for a range of residential development at a maximum density of 20 dwelling units per net buildable acre. High-density residential development should be located adjacent to major collector and arterial roadways to minimize traffic on local and minor collector roadways and to provide convenient access to transit facilities and can act as an efficient transitional use between non-residential and medium-density residential uses. The applicant conducted a community meeting on May 13th, 2024, and on February 5th, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve the rezone. Staff requests the Board of County Commissioners adopt the ordinance enacting a rezone from A1 agriculture to R3A multiple family dwelling for a townhome development of 28 lots. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Silloway. Any inquiries of staff? Commissioner Lockhart.
Just one very minor typo question. On the last slide, did it go to P&Z in February of 25?
Excuse me, 2025.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
No worries.
That was going to be my question. How come it took so long to get here? Good work. The applicant desire to make any comments or presentation? If so, please come forward.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Zach Miller at 8241 Via Bonita. Honestly, just here for any of your questions. This seems to be a logical spot for townhomes between single-family residential, and there's RV storage behind me. And then there's an industrial just to the south. So just seems to be a logical spot for it.
Any questions for the applicant? Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Thanks, guys.
Ms. Dominique, is there anyone here from the public to speak on this matter?
No, sir.
We will close public comment on this agenda item and move to the District Commissioner, Commissioner Constantine.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to make sure, there were a couple of individuals that came to my office earlier today and were asked to go down to community development to get some of the answers I wanted to know, and I was going to, I think one of them is behind Mr. Miller. I just wanted to know if they got their questions answered. Everything is, because they didn't, I don't know if, they walked in after the meeting began, so I just wanted to make sure.
Are those
Yes,
in the-
sir.
Okay.
I went out to meet with the gentleman and answered his question.
Okay.
I'm going to get him in contact with our Public Works Engineering Department to provide the information that he needs.
Great, thank you very much.
You're
That's
very
what-
welcome, sir.
That's what I needed to know. If you're ready for a motion?
I am, sir.
Then I will move the board adopt the ordinance enacting the rezone from A1 agriculture to R3A multifamily dwelling for a townhome development of 28 lots on approximately 3.34 acres located north side of Hillview Drive, approximately 1/4 mile east of 434.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Seeing none. Carries unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item up is item number 21, Highway 46 Commercial Small Scale Future Land Use Map Amendment and PD Rezone. This will be presented by Ms. Caitlin Apgar. Ms. Apgar, welcome.
Hello, good afternoon. Caitlin Apgar, Planning and Development Services. The applicant is requesting the approval for a small-scale future land use map amendment from higher intensity planned development target industry to planned development and a rezone from A1 agriculture and C1 retail commercial district to PD planned development for a proposed automotive collision center located on the north side of State Road 46 and west of Harvest Time Drive. The proposed future land use amendment is from higher intensity planned development target industry to planned development. The applicant is proposing a maximum floor area ratio of 0.35. The parcel currently has split zoning. The northern half is A1 agricultural zoning and the southern half is C1 retail commercial zoning. The property is currently existing as an abandoned borrow pit and has a single-family structure on the property. The applicant is proposing to de-water a portion of the borrow pit while utilizing the rest for stormwater retention. The applicant proposes to develop the subject site as an automotive collision center to the east and a second commercial parcel to the west. Permitted uses include as allowable under the C2's general commercial zoning district, as well as the collision center uses. The PD proposes sufficient setbacks and buffering between the proposed development and the abutting medium-density residential uses, as well as future commercial development to the west fronting State Road 46. The subject property is located within the City of Sanford utility area and is subject to the provisions in the joint planning agreement established between the county and the City of Sanford. The applicant and staff have coordinated with the City of Sanford to organize a pre-annexation agreement, which would also allow for the provision of utilities from the City of Sanford. The development proposes access via State Road 46, which is classified as an urban principal arterial operating at a level of service B, and a second access off of Harvest Time Drive, which is classified as a local road operating at a level of service A. The proposed project also provides for a minimum of 25% open space, and parking shall be in accordance with the Seminole County Land Development Code. The property is located within 2 overlays. The Urban Centers and Corridors overlay is applicable through the comprehensive plan. The development meets the overall intent of the urban centers and corridor overlay, and the redevelopment of the site will provide for jobs in the area near existing housing, and shared vehicular and pedestrian access will be provided. The proposed development intends to connect the existing sidewalk fronting State Road 46, as well as provide a 5-foot sidewalk along Harvest Time Drive. The development is also proposing to provide bicycle parking in order to further meet pedestrian-oriented requirements. The State Road 46 Gateway Corridor Overlay includes design standards to provide a scenic gateway with uniform design elements. Signage and landscaping are to comply with the code provisions for the Gateway Corridor Overlay, and the required building setback of 50 feet from State Road 46 is provided. The buffer width per this overlay is 25 feet and is illustrated on the proposed master development plan. The applicant also provided a 15-foot wide landscape buffer to the east in compliance with the code requirements. The west perimeter buffer requirement will be established at final development plan for Phase 2 in accordance with the code provisions. This will ensure there's an adequate transition between the adjacent townhome development and future commercial development to the west with the proposed intensity of Phase 2. As a summary, the benefits of this development include the provision of an automobile collision center as a service, but also the potential for a second commercial use that could be an amenity to the surrounding residential area. The development is also providing a sidewalk on Harvest Time Drive, as well as bicycle parking, and the allowable use of EV charging stations for increased multimodal activity. Consistency with the comprehensive plan is achieved through the amendment to PD. By pursuing a future land use amendment to PD, it allows for the property to remain in the urban centers and corridor overlay, and eliminates the resulting prohibition of the automotive repair and sales uses. By itself, the overlay does not prohibit the use. Thus, the future land use map amendment from HIP TI to PD will allow for the requested use. In compliance with the Seminole County Land Development Code, Section 30.49 community meeting procedures, the applicant conducted a community meeting on December 9th, 2024. Details of the meeting have been provided in the agenda package. The Planning and Zoning Commission met on February 5th, 2025, and voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. Staff finds the request to be consistent with the Seminole County Comprehensive Plan and compatible with the trend of development in the area. Staff requests the Board of County Commissioners adopt the ordinance enacting a small-scale future land use amendment from higher intensity plan development target industry to plan development and a rezone from A1 agriculture and C1 retail commercial to PD plan development for a proposed automotive collision center. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Any inquiries to staff? We'll start at the far end. Commissioner Constantine will come right across.
Thank you very much. In looking at the pictures and the plan, the idea split in two, collision one side, future on the other side. Right now, part of that is a borrow pit, which is full with water, which you have indicated that they would eliminate some of the water there and move it to, I guess this would be the east or north or wherever, behind the property. My question is, the property is in the city of Sanford, the other property, is that correct?
The property to the north?
Yes. Is it north? Okay, north. That's property in the city of Sanford.
Right.
And that's where part of the borrow pit will be going?
It won't be relocated to the northern parcel, so there's, the borrow pit does exist to the north there, and it will be used for the stormwater retention. They do have to have a plan in order to dewater it. I think part of it is to remove it from the site to a different location, but I don't think, or it's not my understanding that any of it will be transferred to the northern property.
So to finish my thought, that, this area has had some flooding concern. Just a question of since it's not going to the city, it's going to, they're going to do it within their own property. I'm talking about the retaining of the water.
Yes, stormwater retention will be within the constraint of the property.
Even though they're changing the configuration of the borrow pit?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Lockhart.
So I have a question about the buffer to the west. And think this is like size 3 font, but if I'm reading it correctly, it says that the perimeter landscape buffer to the west will be determined at site plan based on Seminole County Land Development Code. Can you, in other PDs, we determine what we want those buffers to be. We do. And this is saying that someone else is going to determine it when we get there. Walk me through that.
Absolutely. So we don't know the end user for the Phase 2 part of development yet. We do want to ensure there's an adequate transition between there are townhomes over there, and the other vacant parcels are projected to be future commercial. So we do want to ensure that there's an adequate buffer there. We wouldn't want to, because we don't know the end user, we can determine it based on intensity per our code, which would provide the code minimum standards for those adjacent uses.
Okay. My concern is, at some point in time, the folks who live in those townhomes are going to have a development behind them of some sort. They'll be wondering what the buffers might be between them and their new neighbor, and it won't be this board that will, they won't have the ability to petition this board for what those buffers will be. It will be done completely at the staff level based on a zoning code, not a negotiated PD process. I think that's, okay. I wanted to make sure that I was understanding what was,
That's
is that
correct.
right? Okay. I'll defer to the district commissioner on how she wants to handle that.
Commissioner Delory, did you have?
It's not really a comment, but when I did review this with our staff when they briefed me, I like the idea. I think it's a good project. It's really a borrow pit in reverse, because I got to fill in part of the borrow pit. It really is, and I think this is a good thing. And my question that I had at staff at that time was that I know there'll be a haul road to fill in part of that borrow pit, and that's going to be reviewed, I was told by our staff, during the time of engineering and permitting. As long as that's going to be the plan, I'm okay with it.
Commissioner Herr?
So, given that the future use of the Phase 2 is unknown, and perhaps this is a mistaken judgment on my part, but I don't think so, I think our codes protect the development behind. And so as long as we're following code, typically, in my experience, when we're coming for PDs, we're trying to actually do less than the code, and we're negotiating to get up to the code. So my view of it was, given that these are townhomes in proximity to commercial development and 46 and sitting where they are, that I think they're protected given the code. So I would be willing to move forward, but do you have comments first?
I do, and then I'm going to go to the applicant and public input. To that point that was raised earlier, although albeit at staff level, this board is who have put the guidelines in place for that staff level determination. Or otherwise, I would not feel comfortable moving forward. But those guide rails have been put in place by this board, and of course are amended from time to time, but this would fall under what exists today. So it may be helpful for the board to understand, not knowing, I would expect you cannot tell us what that buffer will be. Is that fair? Based on ultimately what goes there,
Right.
which this board is blessed and put into the code. Great. Thank you very much. All right, is the applicant here and wish to make any statements or comments? Please, sir, come forward. Your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon. Tad Dixon, 1300 Country Lane in Orlando. Thank you to the board for your time. I have nothing to add to staff's presentation, but am I available for any questions?
Great, thank you very much. Any questions for the applicant at all? Seeing none, we'll go to public input. Dominique, are there anyone here that's filled out a form to speak on this matter?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we'll close public comment and go to the district commissioner, Commissioner Herr.
I'll make this in the form of 2 motions. Based on staff's findings and the testimony and evidence received at the hearing, I find the request meets the identified portions of the comprehensive plan, and I move to adopt the requested small-scale future land use map amendment from higher intensity plan development, target industry to plan development.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, carries unanimous. Thank you all very much.
Second motion.
Oh, that's right. Second motion.
So I also move that based on staff's finding and the testimony and evidence received at the hearing, that I find the request meets the identified portions of the Seminole County Land Development Code and move to adopt the requested rezone from A1 agriculture and C1 retail commercial to PD plan development and the associated development order and master development plan.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, carries unanimous. Thank you very much. Next item up is our public presentation on the resolution and collection of tourism improvement district assessments. This is going to be a legislative hearing. This will be put on by Mr. Guy Cunha.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, Guy Cunha, Director of Economic Development and Tourism. Here to present the resolution of assessment for the Seminole County Tourism Improvement District. So our TID referencing the Tourism Improvement District based on Department of Business and Professional Regulations, DBPR, within the state of Florida. There are a total of 5,054 qualified rooms. These are hotels with 60 rooms and above. We received petitions in favor of the Seminole County TID formation of over 2,600 rooms. The term would be for 10 years unless tied to a bond. Upon the resolution, the $1.75 assessment per room per day would begin on April 1st, 2025, with the first collection by the Seminole County tax collector being May 20th, 2025. Upon approval, the timeline would be the indoor sports facility work session sometime in the summer of 2025. That would be upon the approval of the assessment resolution. Staff is requesting that the Seminole County Board of County Commissioners adopt the Seminole County Tourism Improvement District Resolution of Assessment.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could
Yes.
just real quick, and Commissioners, what Mr. Cunha was referring to, the work session of the indoor sports facility, right now I have that scheduled in June, the first meeting in June for the board to look at.
Great, thank you very much. Any additional questions from the board? Seeing none, is there anybody here from the public that desires to speak on this item?
Yes, sir, there's one speaker, Kristen Oswald.
Ms. Oswald?
Good afternoon. My name is Kristen Oswald. The address is 151 Douglas Avenue, Altamont Springs, Florida, 32714. Good afternoon, everybody. I know that I have talked with you guys before about proceeding with the TID. I think it is very important that we move forward and create Seminole County into the next era. We have hotel rooms that we need to fill, and we need to be able to move things on to our next generations. I've done several news interviews at this point now, and this is kind of unexpected to come up and chat again with you guys. But we really have to go forward. As I said the last time I was here, I was initially against this project based off of Altamont Springs, my location to it, and being my hotel. But as we continue to gather data and go through what's going to be happening as a county, we have to move forward. Altamont Springs will benefit from this, and so will Sanford, Lake Mary. Everybody will benefit from a new indoor development. So I urge you guys today to please pass this. We look forward to seeing what our next generation has to offer.
Great, thank you very kindly.
Thank you. Any questions for me?
No questions that I have.
I have a comment for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a true sign of leadership and professionalism when you can admit that learning more changes an opinion.
Absolutely.
And so congratulations on that. It's
Yeah.
rare and appreciated.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anything else?
No, that was my comment.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public input?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we'll close public input and go to board action. Commissioner Delory?
Make a motion to approve the request.
Second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye. Congratulations, Guy.
Good work,
Congratulations
passed
to all of you.
unanimously. And I would be remiss not to recognize Mr. Robert Agrusa from Central Florida Hotel Lodging Association here in the audience today. Thank you for being here today, sir.
Can't wait to go back and tell everybody else about it.
Thank you all very much for all the hard work you all put in. All right, next up is the county attorney's report.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have a report today.
Okay, county manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. And just to add on what Mr. Harris was saying briefly in the beginning of the meeting, that I appreciate the cooperation not only from the board but from the staff who reacted and very efficiently and effectively to the tornado yesterday. And we immediately started this morning to start picking up the debris, so our staff will be doing that and getting out there immediately. So if any of your offices have issues or if there are things that we could do better, please, submit them to me and we'll make sure it's taken care of. Thank you.
Any questions of the county manager? Anything else, sir? Yes, sir. Seeing none, we will move on to the district commissioner reports. First up is Commissioner Lockhart, District 4.
I had the opportunity to meet with our new state attorney, Will Shiner, last week. I congratulated him on getting elected in a way that all of us are very jealous of. If you all have not had an opportunity to meet with him yet, I'm sure he will be making an appointment to meet with each of you. We talked about his budget and vision and what he plans to do at the office. And then I also had the opportunity to talk with him about the medical examiner discussion. And he understands very well now what our situation is. At the time when he was polled by another state attorney from another part of the state, he had just been sworn into office and really did not have the information that he needed, and basically said, if you're pushing me for an answer now, I'm going to have to say status quo because I don't have enough information yet. Now he has done a considerable amount of homework before he even spoke with me and came into the office to talk, and I think he's going to be very helpful for us in communicating. He has great relationships with the other stakeholders in the other counties, and so I'm encouraged by the conversation that we had. On February 28th, I got to go out to our Spring Hammock Preserve and thank everyone and commend everyone for the work that was done to be inducted into the forest. It's a tongue twister, and I couldn't even get it out there. The Forest Preserve, old growth, old growth forest network. Say that 10 times fast. They are hoping this organization wants to get a forest inducted in every county in the country, and we were number 180 something, I think, on the list. And so wonderful time. Commissioner Constantine was able to participate before he had to run off to the airport, and a lot of staff that were there are just a lot of work. Volunteers, staff members who went into getting us on this list and being inducted, and it was really wonderful. Patty and I toured our Sunrail Operations Center, which is right here in Sanford off of Rand Yard. If you're coming up Monroe Road and you make a right, it's Sunrail Boulevard or something to that effect. It's a little small dead-end road that if you blink, you miss it, but it is an incredible operations center there, their emergency operations center, their dispatch, maintenance facility. Really loved getting to meet all of the different folks that work out of there. We have, of course, DOT staff, but also the consultants, multiple consultants that make up the operations of Sunrail in this community. And they all just work so well together and love what they do. They were beaming. And many of them had worked for other railroads and said how much they really appreciate being a part of the Sunrail team. So we spent a couple of hours out there, and I'd highly recommend, if you ever have the opportunity to get out there and take a tour, they're doing really great work. Let's see, I'll be out of town next week at the Florida Association of Counties Legislative Day activities in Tallahassee. A great lineup of legislators and agency heads that will be speaking. I'm sure Commissioner Constantine and I will both bring back some good nuggets. I think we have staff members who are going as well, so that'll be very cool. Today, March 11th, is World Plumbing Day. So for any plumbers, anyone in the workforce, that we celebrate you. Today, World Plumbing Day. Tomorrow, March 12th, is Tim's and my 31st wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yes. So, yeah.
No one thought it would happen.
No one, they never thought it would last.
Especially Commissioner Lockhart.
My parents, this is nuts. What are you doing? But anyway, love you, Tim. We'll celebrate tomorrow. That's all I have.
Great. Commissioner Hurd, District 5.
On the 4th, the Rescue Outreach Mission hosted its Bronx House Pizza Party for a Cause. I will give a huge shout out to the Bronx House. If you've not eaten there, Lake Mary Boulevard near the Publix, they give 100% of the cash receipts for that day to the charity that they elect. It's not of the profits. And they were working hard. The place was packed. And they also give 100% of the proceeds from gift cards purchased that night. So I don't know the number yet. I'll be glad to report back, but it was a fabulous event, and we certainly appreciate business partners in the community that are willing to lean in. I suspect that you're going to talk, Chairman, about the homelessness symposium, but I did attend that on the 4th as well. It was actually the same night. And I actually have an assignment, so I saved the best for last. I'm sure you're all aware of the fact that there's an Orange Boulevard multifamily pre-application in process, and it's the first that we've encountered under the Live Local Act. It is squarely in the WRPA, and I just want you all to know that the county attorney's office is fully engaged in it, and making sure that we dot every I and cross every T. It is unknown, but we believe not going to come to the board, not 100% certain because of the WRPA connection. But that work is being done. We are all getting emails into our office. I would encourage you all to respond relatively uniformly that at this point the work is still being done by the county attorney's office. And I'll leave it at that unless the county attorney would like to add anything.
I don't have anything to add unless you have any questions.
So my office has responded exactly to that point.
And then I would highly encourage our team that's going to Tallahassee, I'm certainly doing it from here, to encourage our legislators to make sure that that law is as trim as it needs to be, because I think this is certainly an unintended consequence. And I'll leave it at that. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next is Commissioner Delory, District 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's a retirement in the county that I'd like to recognize an individual, Bill Telkamp. Bill is with Risk Management. Yes. I know he's not here today, but he wanted to go quietly in the night, and I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize him here. He has done a phenomenal job in many different levels. He's with Risk Management, or he is Risk Management.
Yeah, right.
And Bill, to say thank you sometimes doesn't go far enough, and this is one of those times. So I know you want to go quietly into the night, so I'll let you do that, but I have to say, from all of us and the county to you, thank you. And I know that you're a very big photographer. You've shared many of your photos that you've taken in many different foreign lands, and I wish you all the best. God bless you. Moving on, Mr. Chairman, I know that there were several of us that were at the ribbon cutting in Oviedo for Broadway Street, which was 426, 419, which is the widening on March 6th, which went from Oviedo High School on Pine Street to Jackson Heights Middle School over by Academy Avenue. And that project literally took a little over 30 years. 30 years. I first came involved with that project when I was with Oviedo in the mid-'90s. And the person that actually spearheaded that from the Oviedo side was a gentleman by the name of Tom O'Hanlon. We all know Tom. Back then, in those days, that road, as well as a couple of other roads in Oviedo, were constrained legislatively from the city. Tom took point to remove the constrained designation and got us to understand the significance of not just widening that road, but how to widen it. The big thing that happened in those days was the one-way parallel pairs in downtown Oviedo. I will tell you that for years, if not decades, that was the battle cry of elections. And I want to thank Tom for all his hard work, as well as other people. And I also want to thank Commissioner Constantine when he was with Tallahassee, as not just a senator, but up in state representatives. He was very helpful in helping the city and the county getting the funding for that. That was a multi-jurisdictional project, the state, the county, and the city. Many elected officials. For me to start naming them, I'll be here all day. But I wanted to thank everyone for all their hard work, as well as staff. Many staff individuals were very involved in that. So that was a great day, cutting that ribbon and seeing how long one simple project would take. It took a little over 30 years. So thank you, everyone, for participating for the past 30 years.
Well, and congratulations to you, Commissioner Delary, because
Yes.
you have been shepherding this
Thank you.
your entire career.
Just about.
And I, as a public citizen, went to his office and said, hey, why don't you take all this money that you're planning on 4-lane and 419 at the Orange County border and reallocate it where it's needed over in Oviedo?
We did that.
Which they actually did.
There was a lot of pieces to it. So I just wanted to give kudos to where kudos is deserved. And with that, there's also an appointment from the BCC at-large reappointment of our Metro Plan Orlando Citizens Advisory Committee. And I'd like to reappoint Mr. Tom O'Hanlon to that for a 4-year term. That'd be a motion.
Second.
Are you asking for one, or are you second?
Yeah, you always say you don't
Yeah, are
know.
you-
Second.
I know, but he said second, so I didn't know if he was asking for a second or if he was seconding it.
Second.
I was just asking for clarification. I wasn't clear.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, seeing none? Congratulations or condolences, Mr. O'Hanlon.
And Mr. Chairman, if I would, as we've done in the past, Veteran Appreciation Luncheon Committee is having their Veteran Appreciation Luncheon this coming April 21st. The reason I'm bringing it to everyone's attention, you'll be getting an email or a letter from the committee. But we're hosting it at the Marriott this year, and it's April 21st. It's the Monday directly after Easter. The reason why it got moved to Monday is because the Marriott made a phenomenal deal with the committee to host it, and it was a deal we couldn't turn down. So I just want to make sure that everyone is aware of it. So when it does come to your desk, and individuals that are out there, veterans, and we're recognizing the veterans this year, we're going to recognize an individual from the Korean War. It is on Monday. Make no mistake, we normally do it on a Thursday. And I just want to make sure that people realize it's Monday, the day after Easter, which is April 21st.
It's Monday, right,
It's
Bob?
It's Monday. It's Monday. Trust me, Commissioner, I even questioned
You're
it.
going to have people call you. It's
I
Monday.
questioned it myself, but it was a financial deal that we just couldn't pass up. So I want to thank the Marriott for helping us with that, otherwise we couldn't afford it. Mr. Chairman, that's the end of my report.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Constantine, District 3.
Thank you very much. I did want to give a shout out to the Boys and Girls Club, Seminole County. They had a thank you event on the 26th, and it's always nice when a charity, has an event to thank you for what, helping them, but they do a fantastic job here in Seminole County with all of our different Boys and Girls Clubs. Did want to also say it was wonderful to see us in the spring hammock and doing the old growth forest. Congratulations to all of us, but especially our Parks and Recreation Department. It's really fantastic. Commissioner Lockhart did a great job doing that. I was at the National Association of Counties Legislative Conference in Washington. As you know, I'm on the board of directors, but one of the good things that happened, and I wish that Christian was here because we all know that it's something that we're trying to do in the legislation this year, but on their federal agenda, I was able to change the PFAS initiative to include other forever chemicals. So that is now on the federal agenda for the National Association of Counties. Congratulations to Bob and everybody on and the city of Oviedo on 426, 419. Only the Wekiva Parkway took longer to build, I think. But that is great. On past Saturday, the League of Women Voters had a leadership program and asked me to speak on Seminole County successes, and I did. And it's always wonderful, to sit there, we talk about, we think about it, but we never really express it, and to do it in front of an audience, it's always nice to talk about how many things this county is doing right. Today, right now, Beatrice is listening in, but the board that I'm on, the statewide council on opioid abatement, is having a meeting in which our sheriff is also on. So I'm going to be leaving here to get back on there. Tomorrow is a very busy day. They've got the Metro Plan in the morning, the federal Wekiva Scenic River Commission is meeting in the afternoon, and then the zoo board is meeting in the afternoon. And I did want to say that yesterday they were supposed to do a golf tournament. I don't think it happened. And we will see what happens with that and what they're doing. Looking forward to the board retreat on Thursday. And also, I did want to shout out, and maybe if I take this over somebody else, I'm sorry, but the Taste of Oviedo is coming up at the 22nd. And some very special people that donated a lot of money and a lot of land, especially to Seminole State College. It's going to have a dedication for the public safety, and that is Jeanette and Norman Gould, who are a friend of the family, and I'm sure friends of many of you. I did want to tell you that, and I told this to Commissioner Zimbauer because a portion of his family came from Canada, but I had the honor to speak when I was in Washington, at the embassy in Canada with the trade minister and a few other municipal leaders from Manitoba and others. But the one thing that was going on is, as we know, later that evening at 12 o'clock, the tariffs were going into place. So you can imagine what the discussion was all about at that meeting.
Did they run out of Molson's?
They did. How dare the Canadians run out of Molson?
That is a fine export.
Shocking.
In fact, all I was supposed to do is to say thank you and leave with the others, but I had to point out that when Canadians ran out of Molson, it's time to go.
It's a bad day.
Not only is it National Plumbers Day, but it's National Dream Day today, so do that. I think we all know that the 17th is St. Patrick's Day. Wish you all the best. Thank you, Commissioner Herr. I know it's in your district, but you also know how important this is to me about the Wekiva Parkway and Protection Act and this this thing that's happening potentially or trying to happen on Orange Avenue and the 300 units. I do believe that the Wekiva Parkway Protection Act takes precedence over the Live Local, and hopefully we will have a hearing and all of us know how vital that is, because each and every one of us were very much in leadership position when it came to the Wawa that was trying to be put there. I want to remind you all about Senate Bill 1118. It's still out there and very scary, and I know we have our folks engaged in that very strongly, and thank you, Tricia, for making sure that that happens. I did want to let you know that I was talking to the Florida Association of Counties, Ginger Delegal, our executive director, and she told me that she just had lunch with Brian Applegate. He's up there causing trouble in Tallahassee. But she says he looks fantastic. And I said, well, getting rid of us, I guess, is a very easy thing to do. Also, County Manager, looks like you got a suntan on your vacation. Congratulations. And Tim, it's good to see you back. You're smiling and everything. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm finished.
Thank you very kindly. First item, combining the chairman and District 2 report. I am looking to approve BCC at-large reappointments of Mark Rays and Daniel Kavanaugh to the Fred R. Wilson Memorial Law Library Board of Trustees from 1/1/2025 to 12/31/2027. That's a motion.
Second.
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
Is this timely?
Well, I guess I can't answer that. I typically try to turn things around as quick as I'm requested to do them, but
I'm just wondering, since it's a
I would
board
say
appointment, what the process was to choose to reappoint these folks. Were there other applicants?
not that I'm told there were not. January is when this term was supposed to start. It's now March. I looked at it from a timeliness. It wasn't filled since January, so probably it's time
I just don't
sensitive from that.
recall it being a part of the list of board appointments in January.
Okay. I'll withdraw the motion. This seems to be an ongoing issue. So if you could try to get with staff and make sure all the commissioners have every detail necessary for these kind of issues, for reappointments or appointments to these. And if necessary, pull up their bylaws or whatever and supply those to all the commissioners. Okay, motion withdrawn. Moving on, the Airport Advisory Board meeting. Sanford Orlando Airport held the 2025 Regional Aerospace and Air Days. Approximately 6,000 people attended. It was a great event. Corporate entities were Blue Origin, NASA, L3 Harris, and many others, introducing the students to possible aviation and space careers. Also, thanks to Seminole County Public Schools and the Seminole State College, who also were part of this presentation and outing, which also support these type careers. So big kudos out to both of them. On March 4th, we had the Homeless Symposium out of my office at the Action Church in Sanford. It was very well attended. There was a lot of discussion. There seemed to be a desire to having further dialogue and working together with all the NGOs out there. So there's going to be a follow-up from the steering group, who is going to reach out to these agencies to have those discussions on when they get back together and what further discussion they have to work for the homeless scenario and homeless situation. I've asked them to keep me apprised, and I'm happy to keep everybody else apprised as well. Commissioner Herr also attended and was present. I think it was very well attended, and a lot of good discussion was had there, so we'll see where that ends up. Next on the item is I did meet with the new state's attorney. No sense repeating what Commissioner Lockhart said. My conversations were pretty much the same, and I think he clearly understands it. I did give him a little background on the previous conversations with the previous state's attorney, and I think fully understands now what we are dealing with. So I think, like Commissioner Lockhart indicates, he's much more knowledgeable now than he was previously, and I think you'll be able to have good dialogue into those conversations. Also, March 6th ribbon cutting has already been mentioned for the 426-419. I had in jest, told Commissioner Deloria, I said, splits our districts right down the middle. We should have had the ribbon cutting right in the middle of the road. March 7th, Sheriff Lima's faith-based community celebration, International Women's Day, was well attended. I was not able to make it, but my office did attend, and it was very well attended, and another great aspect of what the sheriff does for our community, so we're sincerely grateful for that. With that, that is the extent of my report. I will move on to public comment for items that are not currently on the agenda. Do we have anyone here from the public to speak on items that are not on the agenda related to things that the commission has jurisdiction over?
Yes, sir. There's one speaker, Gabrielle Milch.
Good afternoon, Ms. Milch. Good to see you.
Well, welcome, and thank you guys for being up here today. And I just wanted to give you a little reminder and shine a little light on our waterways in Seminole County. There is a basin management action meetings with the staff and also other members on March 26th at the Extension Office, and the first meeting is about Lake Jessup, and that starts at 10 a.m., and they're going to go over the basin management action plans and where they're going and where, you know, what's left. And if you guys would maybe get briefed, if you can, if I would suggest on finding out about how the quality of the water is improving or not in those areas. And then in the afternoon, there's going to be another hearing on the Middle Basin, Lake Harney, and Lake Monroe, and also the Smith-Larkhart Canal. And so those are, you know, very large water bodies that are a big part of Seminole County. And so I would just like you guys, you know, to, if you can, ask your staff to brief you on either after the meetings about the basin management action plans and where we are, or, you know, if you wanted to find out and perhaps attend and experience what these programs are, because I know they're kind of under attack in some respects. It's a long-range plan that goes about 20 years in understanding, and it's not easy to clean up a lot of these lakes. The pollution is pretty bad, and, you know, we have good ordinances and we have some things involved here that's going to help. So I just wanted to let you know that about that meeting. And then also, the other thing is I wanted to thank you all for considering the holistic water policy plan. We had some meetings earlier with staff and an introduction to the holistic water policy plan, which this BMAP fits the two BMAPs fit very nicely into that. And I know that a lot of the environmental community or people who are interested in natural areas attended, and staff did a great job, and then they briefed the soil and water boards as well. And so I just wanted to give you guys kudos and thank you and encourage you to learn more about the Lake Jessup. And I know there's going to be some development, you know, a new road going to the airport that's going to go through some wetlands in off of Lake Jessup potentially, and maybe a widening of the bridge. So that's going to be some pretty big construction going on in Seminole County in the near future. So thank you. Any questions?
No. Thank you, Gabrielle.
Thank you. Good to see you,
Thank you
Gabby.
as always.
Good to see you
All
guys.
right. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Ms. Dominique, is there anyone else here to speak on non-agenda items?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Anything else for the good of the order? We shall be adjourned. Thank you all very much.